A couple of days ago here on YouTube, a video came out that shook up the world, and that video is called Beat the London System, Learn the Ultimate Defense. And it was published by none other than YouTube chess king Agadmator. That is, ladies and gentlemen, the chess equivalent of a diss track. And you can consider this video a polite and respectful response. Now, I've split the video into a couple of parts. Antonio, in his video, suggests the repertoire that after d4, knight f6, bishop f4, black plays the move c5, and the majority of the Agadmator video focuses on e3, queen to b6 attacking the b2 pawn, white coming out and gambiting the pawn, and black playing the move a6. I have split my video into this first part, where I will be talking about the good and the bad of this particular setup with the black pieces, and then we will respond, and I will give you a full bulletproof repertoire with the white pieces to play the London opening. There are some brilliant, unique bits of analysis backed by the engine. I think you're gonna like it a lot. Let's just get right into it. So, as far as this recommendation is concerned, it is a high-scoring variation in the database. Agadmator at this point, or I should say Antonio, focuses on a couple of different variations from the white side, like rook b1 is one of them, defending the b2 pawn, there's knight f3, there's a3, and so on. However, that aside, there are a few notable drawbacks of playing in this fashion. First things first, what happens if white plays c4 on the second move? You've got to be prepared, because if you play d5 on the second move and you play the queen's gambit declined, you're not going to be able to play this. You're going to have to find some sort of defense. Maybe you go for a Nimso Indian. Maybe you go for a queen's gambit declined with this move order, which has some slight drawbacks, like allowing, for example, the Catalan with white. But perhaps the biggest struggle you will face is against the move knight f3. Because white does not have to play the London on the second move, white can play the London on the third move as well. And we will study that also from the white side when we end up flipping the board, because now if you play c5, d5, this setup is no. This setup is a no, and you've got to, you gotta figure out if you're gonna play some sort of weird g6, bishop g7, and so on, because this setup, which is recommended, it's not great, because white can take on passant, play the move e4, and now white is better. This is a better position for white. So if white plays the move knight f3, you ain't getting c5. Now maybe if white, plays knight f3, you go back to something more standard. You play e6, bishop f4, c5, and go for the same thing. But it's not as perfect this way, and it doesn't work as well. There's a lot of other tricks here with white, which I will show you. So that perhaps is the biggest struggle. Maybe you want to just against knight f3 go for something more classical with bishop d6 and c5, and hopefully this will be the ultimate tool for you. You'll use that against the immediate bishop f4, but you also play knight f3, bishop f4. You'll go with kind of this system where you can play a delayed version of c5, then delay your queen b6 until your entire center is nice and solid. However, ladies and gentlemen, there is more. And for this part, it is now time to flip it all around. Now, you will notice the names have changed. That is because a lot of what I'm showing you here has bits and pieces taken from my very own London course. Not just a YouTube video, I have a full repertoire on the London system. Now, to give some credit to Antonio, in my London course, I do say the most challenging move against knight to f6 after bishop to f4 is the move c5, and it's one of the reasons why I tell people bishop f4, c5 might not be for everybody. Perhaps you play the move knight f3, but I did say I would promise to tell you what the drawback of this move is. Well, in many variations against the King's Indian, I don't like to put the knight here. I like to play pawn f3, pawn g4, h4, h5, and if now black goes for a King's Indian, the fact that you've played knight f3 already takes away your opportunity to attack with your kingside pawns later. So it's a game, you don't know what they're gonna play. So let's say you stick to this bishop f4 and they go c5. I have split my recommendations into three parts. Number one, we will study all about e3. Then we will take a look at pushing in more detail. And last but not least, I have saved pawn takes pawn, which I'm not sure Antonio looked at, but my God, is there some spice in there. I hope you are ready, because I am pumped. I feel like I'm at the recording studio ready to drop some bars. E3 Now, queen b6 here is the most testing move, and we're going to take a look at knight c3, of course. Because here queen takes b2 leads to a very forcing variation. For example, after knight to b5, going for knight to c7. Black plays knight d5, the only move, because actually if black plays the move knight a6, which also stops knight c7, the move a3 traps the queen. The queen now has no escape. And now if black tries to fight back, we go rook b1, queen a2, and we have the move rook b3. And if you remember this, you are going to box in this queen with bishop c4 and trap it, and you're going to have a short day at the office. You can also play knight e2 and knight c1. So, pick your poison. I guess it's not really poison. Anyway, so knight a6 is no good. Knight d5 is considered the best move. And now there's a variation here where you can get a perpetual, not a perpetual, I should say a repetition, or you can play a3, and that leads to the following variation. Black plays a6, rook b1, and queen c1. And now the queen is trapped after this. Now, this position is extremely complicated. You can analyze it further with your own computer at home. I personally think it looks a little bit easier for black to play, but black can go wrong literally in one move. Let's say black sees this and goes b4. Well, now you just take on b8. The most unexpected move of all time. Rook takes on b8. You play e4. Where's this knight going? It goes all the way back to c7 to get out of danger. Takes, and we're getting in here. We're getting in here. Maybe a5, maybe a7. We go to a7, there might be rook a8, so maybe we go to a5. We get the bishop out, the knight out. Black is falling behind here with our queen so active. And so, this goes all the way back to the move knight c3 and queen takes b2, but in that video, it's all about a6, which prevents knight to b5. Well, that's fine. Now, at this point, I want to show you the move g4. And for this, I have to credit Icelandic FIDE master. Well, his name is not Zibit. His name is Ingvar, but his YouTube channel is Zibit, and I've linked it in the description below. He actually posted this variation G4 on a Reddit thread, and I was looking through it, and I noticed it, and I was like, you know what, I gotta give this some love, because this is some cool stuff. This is computer-backed preparation. The point of G4 is that, for example, if black takes now, white plays knight e2. White's whole idea here is to push these two pawns in some way, deflecting the knight to the side of the board and closing down the center. And for the cost of a pawn, even for a second pawn, potentially, you get all your pieces out, you play rook to b1, and you play bishop g2, h3, and push these pawns in the middle. I've included all the moves in the description, so you can play around with, you know, if black takes, or if black goes here. First of all, if black goes knight takes g4, black loses immediately to knight d5. So that's poisonous. If black takes on d4, for example, now you actually trade your queen, and black cannot take this pawn because of the same problem. Not to mention this, there's also knight b6 hitting the rook, the bishop, and if the rook moves up, you take. It's really bad. It's a really, really bad position. There's a lot of traps, a lot of venom. Go test out this move g4. I think this setup is going to be played a lot now, so g4 will give you something very interesting to munch on. Now, last but not least, a move that was not explored. That move is knight a3. Knight to a3 forces a response from the queen. Why? Because knight a3, and if queen takes b2, knight b5. This leads to the other variation that we just looked at, where you've got to remember knight d5, you've got to remember to go a3, right? You've got to remember this, you've got to memorize a6, rook b1, queen a2, queen c1, you gotta memorize this. But if you think that in this position black can play the move a6, going for the same thing, you are gravely mistaken, because the whole point is to go knight c4. Now, black cannot go queen b4, because if black goes queen b4, you play c3. That kicks the queen back, and bam! Knight d6, sacrificing the knight, and we win the queen, and hopefully you go on to win the game. Now, if black slides over to c6, bam, the queen is trapped. Why? Well, what if they just take with the, yeah, remember that? Ouch. Oh, yeah, and by the way, if knight takes d5 in this position, you think, oh, like it's all knight e5, hello. Say, well, so what? I mean, I'm just here. Hello, 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 hello. And if queen to e6, hello, hello. This is a landmine of a variation for black. The only move to survive is queen to a7. Because again, if you go all the way back to d8, well, I just take on c5. And I go here. Bye-bye! So you have to go back to a7, and then you got to remember this. And again, I said everything is in the description. Bang, bang. Oh, the beautiful value of preparing openings with computers. e4. The idea is to go bishop e3 and punish the queen for being out and about, then jump in with the knight. Knight e4 loses on the spot to this move. Doesn't matter if you give me a check, I play c3. Where's your queen gonna go? Let's say you slide back one square, I go knight b6. Rook a7, I take on c8. I got an attack here, got an attack here. You're losing. You're losing within the first 10 moves in so many of these variations. So knight a3 is so dangerous. It forces this, and now you got those people who looked at that a6 variation out of their comfort zone. And of course, if black plays d5, stopping knight c4, well then, we have this. And we're going in for this. And then you can glue your knight in here with a4, you can play dc5 and advance your pawn, c3, b4, and a4. And that's as far as I want to take the analysis with e3, queen b6. Now, if knight a3 serves you well, play it. If knight c3 serves you well, and then, you know, a6, g4, play it. Those are your two recommendations. But I did say I was going to give you other things. d5. The point of d5 is that if black plays queen b6 right away, you can play knight c3, gambit this pawn, and bring back the bishop. This methodology, this is now known as the Vaganyan gambit, and it's from the Trompowsky opening. And the idea is to play e4, f4, and overwhelm your opponent in the center for the cost of the queen coming out and taking some pawns. But the recommendation, of course, we are targeting, after all, the recommendation of one video which said beat the London system. So we gotta look at that and try to go e5. Now, what I recommend against this setup is to play knight c3. And your idea is going to be that when black plays the move e5, you will bring the bishop back to d2. What will you do after that? Why would you do that? Well, you're going to expand on this side in some way. And I am going to show you a game played by none other than world champion and potentially greatest player of all time. No, it's not Eric Rosen, it's Magnus Carlsen. Bishop e7 was played in that game. e4, castles, bishop e2, black played knight to d7, developing, you gotta go bishop e2. Say, Levy, what about my knight? You develop your knight, this bishop comes out. Don't let the bishop come out. Knight d7, and now a4. A very useful move. You have to clamp down on b5. The second you see a6 trying to go b5, you go a4. How is black ever breathing here? You know who Magnus Carlsen was playing in this position before he absolutely blew them off the board? h4, h5, did not castle and just stormed them. None other than Levon Aronian. Yeah, Magnus Carlsen crushed Levon. And early on after bishop d2, if black goes g6, looking for some sort of King's Indian, here is an exciting way to play it. Again, you don't castle, you go for h4, and you look to storm them off the board. Knight g5, queen e2, long castle. We don't have to give up when we see this. We slide it back to d2, we put that pawn on e4, and we let it rock, whether it's going to be g3, bishop g2, h4, h5, or if it's going to be bishop e2, and then a4 to stop the development, and then later on, we're going to finish and storm with our kingside pawns. So that is a little bit about the d5 variation, and of course, black has other moves. In general, I suggest knight c3, e4, and getting real hostile, maybe queen d2 and long castle. But, my friends, at the end of the day, what's being missed here is the fact that that's a free pawn, damn it. What happens if we take? It's a move that we don't even think about. We just assume it's not possible. But, little do we know, it actually might be. And this is where I said I would introduce some brilliant analysis. Now, I'm not saying I'm brilliant. Far from it. I'm saying computers are ingenious. Like, the concepts they can come up with are fascinating, and that is what every strong player uses, not during the games, because then you end up in my YouTube video. Chess cheaters get exposed. So first things first, what if black plays queen a5 check, right? Like, we gotta look at this move. The point is that we play queen d2. we offer the trade of queens to black, forcing them to either trade and not win their pawn back because we'll just defend it, or to play like this. And now we're going to go knight c3. This is the complex we are looking for. We want to go long castle, e4, f3, and maybe storm with the pawns. So for example, d6, we have e4. If e5 here by black, we always pop back and hit the queen. Really nothing to worry about. And just a sample variation, bishop e6, a6, and knight d7. We're following a game played between Tamir Nabati, Israeli grandmaster, and a master player with the last name Lonkar, 2358, Zagreb, Croatia. How fitting, 2014, and white went on to win very easily after taking the bishop and storming in with the lights on the light squares with f4 and e5. So, I guess that wouldn't be the light squares, that would just be the fact that they've got a very powerful bishop on h3, light squared bishop. So, we go back a little bit, and again, if black plays this in a King's Indian fashion, well, we just, castle queenside, bishop g7. We have a lot of ways to play this. Slide the king over to make it safe, bam, 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 create some sort of attack over there. Or, by the way, take a look at this move. If takes mate. You heard it here first. So, this is the thing about queen to a5. Now, I promised you something beautiful to end this video, right? Well, here it is. Black can also play the move knight to a6. If black plays the move knight to a6, trying to go for the pawn, I recommend this. f3. Somewhere Ben Feingold just fell out of a chair. The point is that after knight takes c5, you want to go e4. That's what you want, and you want the exact same structure that we just had. That's what you want. So that then you can go bishop h6, g4, h4, h5. So let's say, what if black is like, whoa, what is that f3 move? I don't want to let that happen. I'm going to go d4. Well, then we take en passant. See, that's the problem. Our c-pawn, again, en passant. So they can't play d5. And if they play the move e6, this is where we will end the video. Not on the move e6. I promised you something brilliant to end it. Here it is. In this variation, bishop takes c5. We're going to go e4. And after they take with the bishop, which I'm assuming will be their logic, they can also play queen b6. And this looks like we are luring them. Or maybe not luring them, but we are luring them into a trap. Looks like we're luring them, into just a winning position. And we're going to play the move queen d2. And our opponent's going to go, wait a minute. First of all, if queen takes b2, we have this, this, this. And we're creating some attacking chances here for ourselves. The knight cannot go to the middle. If the knight goes to h5 attacking our bishop, we slide the bishop back. It's not a problem, then we finish our development. But what if they think we're idiots and they take on g1? Oh, now we take back. And they're going to be like, what? And I'm just up a rook now. And then I want you, if you're playing over the board, I want you to take your bishop and screw it into d6. And if you're playing online, I want you to slam this move. Don't write anything mean. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down a rook in this position, and white is better. Black has like one move not to get completely obliterated in this position. And that move is to go back to g8. You think that's going to happen? Look what happens if black plays an innocent developing move. Long castle, bishop b7, bam. And the queen is hit. And this is it, we win the game. So let's say, all right, let's say black's like, you know what, I don't really like where my queen is, so I'm going to bring it all the way back to b6. That move looks pretty natural, not a bad move. Knight b5. All right, well, now black can't move anything. Like, what does black do? Let's say black plays knight c5. Well, then black gets hit with queen g5. And there's also knight c7. Queen g5, rook g8, bishop takes c5. Because we were just hitting g7 and c5. This position is absolute misery. And that is one thing that I wanted to leave you off on with this early capture on c5. Maybe you will get this. It's the 9th move of the game, and black has not done anything super complicated. Black just played knight a6, e6. They go here, they take our knight, we take back, and they're like, ha ha ha, I'm up a rook, and you go here. And you threaten this, oop, this. You threaten long castle and queen g5 to g7. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we will conclude our study of d4 knight f6, bishop f4, and c5. Listen, I got a lot of respect for Agadmator, Antonio, but when I saw that video, I knew I had a golden opportunity to respond back. It's all fair, it's all love, and I hope that both of these videos serve you well on your quest to both winning with the London system and also beating it. Because let's face it, it is one of the easiest systems to play in all of chess. You don't need to study a tremendous amount, you have to know a few intricacies here and there, but for the most part, it's a pretty damn common weapon at all rating levels. Today, in the final of the Tata Steel 2021 chess tournament, Anish Giri played the London system versus Jordan van Forest, and he had a very promising position. So, on that note, I will leave you with both of these videos, and you can decide in the comments whose video you think will hold up in a head-to-head matchup. Go off, go play your games, whatever chess website you're playing on. Let me know if there's a video topic you want me to cover in future content, and I will see you all in the next video.